maybe you can tell the difference between the last field and these fields. How this is just flat, and of course you get that sort of action. A little story about that spot right there. I'm about to cut in here myself. Anyway, that spot right there, there's like a pool of mud, water back over there, and you see that there's some grasses that the EPA may not want you to be, or DEP, EPA, whatever, they don't want you to be messing around with. Well, that's called a wet hole. And years ago when I was a lot younger, like 15 years ago, I was in the middle of a divorce. My now ex-wife, God bless her heart, as they would say in the South, and why in the hell are you not foaming at the right side? Anyway, my ex-wife and I were in the middle of a divorce, and she was making my life a living hell, which most ex-wives like to do, or soon-to-be ex-wives like to do. And, you know, I can't say it was any fault of mine. You know, when you have a 243 shoved in your face, it kind of puts things into perspective for you in a big old hurry, like you don't want to be with this woman anymore, and she definitely don't want to be with you. But that's not what this story's about. This story's about that wet spot that's way down yonder that I steered clear of. Well, I used to grow corn and soybeans on this property. Every year, corn, then soybeans, then corn, then soybeans. And that was a rotation that worked extraordinarily well for me. But that year that I was in the process of divorcing my wife of 13 years, 12 years, 13 years, I think it was 12 years at that time. I was still married to her for 13 years, but anyway, we won't get into that too much more than what I've already gotten into. I hired a guy. Actually, I had a volunteer. He felt so bad for me that he said, hey, you know, he said, I'd like to come up and plant them soybeans for you because I know what kind of hell you're going through because I've done it myself. I was quite thankful for that. Anyway, I only had one request when it came to this field, and that was, don't go over there. Just don't go over there. Oh, what do we got going on there? Oh. That was weird. Anyway, don't go over there. Okay, Wesley, I'll stay out of there. Well, it's a no-till drill and a no-till situation, and there you are. Anyways, no-till drill, no-till situation, and it just left his mind by the time he got to this field that he wasn't supposed to go over there. Well, I get a phone call, and it's Russ, and he's like, hey, I'm stuck and I can't get out. I'm like, okay. I said, alright, well, he says, well, I'm just going to leave it here, I'm going to go home. He said, my truck is here, I'll just leave, thank you. Okay, no problem, Russ. So, that was the last I saw Russ, ever. What a good guy, though. I mean, I can't complain about him, you know, other than the time that he stuck the damn thing in the mud. But, you know, he knew I was going through hell, and I have never been that stuck with anything in my entire life, ever before that and after that. So what he had done was, he went into that quagmire over there, which is basically a pond. Yes, a pond. And I guess he just didn't realize how deep the pond was until he got out in the middle of the pond. Well, the 4960 was the tractor that he had. It had brand new tires on it. On the front anyway, not on the back. The back ones they were good. There was nothing wrong with them. Good tread. Well, he hadn't picked up the drill, and he drove it forward, and then he did the dreaded, you know what I'm about to say, if you've ever farmed with something that's, you know, putting seed in the ground, he backed up. Okay, so he took that 750 no-till drill, and he backed up with the drill in the ground. Well, you know what that does to those hoses, right? Just jammed them up solid. I mean, tighter than a pig's ass. They were so freaking tight, it took a pressure washer about 5 hours of time to get them cleaned out. Well, Well, I came over with the tractors that I had at the time, which ended up being the 4430, the 4450, the 5020. Why won't you work? The 5020. What the hell? Okay. Huh. There it goes. I had the 5020, the 4430, the 4450, and a lot of chain. And we hooked it up to that tractor and grain drill, and we gave it a pull, and it didn't move. It just did not move. I was like, man, am I in trouble? So I was afraid it was going to pull one of the tractors in half because, well, let me back up a little bit. We had about 3 inches of rain, and the soybeans had sprouted out sprouted everywhere. They had sprouted in the hose, they'd sprouted in the meters, they just sprouted. What a friggin' mess. So, I decided that I would jump into the mud hole and unhook the drill. That's a good idea, right? Just unhook the drill, and you can get a bunch of chain in between there. And hold on a second, let me get my fertilizer rolling here. So that's what I did. I unhooked the drill, and after I got the drill unhooked, we were able to pull the 4960 out. Well, that was good because I had more chain, and I took the 4960 and I got that out of that hole. Then I hooked the chain to the drill. I had locked it in the up position, and we pulled it out. It came out pretty easy then, because let's face it, the drill is nowhere near as heavy as what that tractor and them ruts were. They weren't ruts, they were holes. I mean, this thing was laying on the belly. So anyway, we got it out. I take it home. There's beans. I mean, it was like 4 or 5 days of time that had passed from the time that it had gotten stuck till the time after it had rained, and I was able to pull it out. I did. I got it pulled out of there. I get it home, and of course, I still have to plant these soybeans, and I had another fellow working for me at the time because I just couldn't get everything done. And Russ, he was like, you know what, I'm sorry, Leslie, I just can't. He never came back. I think he was embarrassed. I wasn't mad at him, didn't yell at him. He was embarrassed. He never came back. So, but whatever, such is life. Anyways, we got it out in like 4 hours of pressure washing. We ended up taking all the hoses off of the pipes and pressure washing from the top down, blowing those sprouted soybeans back up the top. That was a mess. Me and my friend Dale did that, and we got it cleaned out. And then I think Dale ended up planting the rest of the soybeans. I had planted the corn while Russ was planting the beans, and then after that happened, Russ said, you know what, I'm done, and then Dale planted the rest of the soybeans. And Dale was okay worker, he did all right. He had some problems that we worked around and worked through, and he worked for me for a couple, 3 years, and it was okay. But families get involved, like wives, and things just went south from there, and that was the end of that. So anyway, with that being said, I guess that was it. That was the end of that. Dale learned how to plant beans pretty quickly, and I learned how to get mad at Dale because he had his wife with him. Not wife, he wasn't married to her, but I called him his wife. She should have been. He should have married her. He had 2 kids with her. Anyway, they went to plant these soybeans together in the last farm, and he's all done, and Dad had sprayed it with Roundup to burn it down, and life is good, right? We got the fertilizer, or we got the burn down on, the beans are doing good. Anyway, we didn't go back and it was getting late too. It was June when I planted them, or I didn't plant them, and it was just one of those things. It's getting late, so we go back to look to see the, I'm going to do it this way. to see what the beans look like, right? Here he had only planted half the field. When he went across the field, I don't know what to say about him. I don't know what he was doing or why it was like that, but when he would go across that field, one direction, he would put the drill in the ground. When he came back up the opposite direction, he did not put the drill in the ground. So every other row or every other pass that he made with the grain drill had absolutely no soybeans in it. So I had this striped field. And it was too late to come back in and correct the issue because, like I said, I was in the middle of a divorce. Burn down was put down early enough. It was just not a good situation. That year was tough. And that year was so tough. I mean, if anybody's going through a divorce and you're trying to farm right now, I feel for you. I feel your pain. I know what you're going through. You know, I know there's a lot of people out there that don't really know what you're going through, or they claim to know what you're going through, but the reality is, unless you've gone through it yourself, you bastard, you don't know what the hell you're going through. So anyways, that year was really tough. I got the beans harvested, and it took a lot of time because it took a lot of time because we had combine troubles. I had court dates. I had just a mess. And, you know, my dad, he did the best he could for the situation. He was watching my kids while I was working, him and my mom. And, you know, it was just a shitty situation. I don't ever care to be in again. And, but anyways, with that, I get the soybeans harvested, and I entrusted these beans. I didn't sell them, I stored them. I didn't have enough room at the farm to store them because the bin was full, and I had another upright bin that I've taken down. Did I take that down yet? No, it's still there. There's a bin. I'll show you that bin. I had the little bin, and it held, I don't know, 700 bushels or so, and I had that bin full, and I had the being stored in another facility, and the guy that owned that facility, well, guess what? He never turned the bin fans on. He was charging me 2 cents a bushel to store them, and he never turned the bin fans on. And they got musty in his bin. Now, okay, so here I am. I've got approximately $60,000 worth of soybeans stored in a bin that they're all musty in. They're musty. What the hell am I going to do with these? So the guy that owned the bins, he was out in Allentown, Pennsylvania, which is about a little over an hour away from us here. He said that he had beans from someone else, and he'd be able to smuggle them in a little at a time with somebody else's beans. And I was like, well, all right. He says, I won't charge you anything for the storage of the soybeans because, well, you know, they went musty and it's my fault. Well, that was honorable of him, right? He's gonna smuggle them in with somebody else's beans, and because he was a truck driver, smuggle them in with somebody else's beans, and that'll be the end of that. They'll go out. I won't be docked for anything because, let's face it, it wasn't my fault that they went that way. He was a regular storage facility. That's what he did. So anyway, when that was over, I'm waiting for 2 years. Yeah, 2 years for that $60,000 worth of soybeans that he had stored in his barn, in his bins. Finally, I told him, I said, listen, you either get me paid for what you've sold, or all of it, you know. Oh, I've got it all gone, is what he told me. You know, I sold it all, it's all gone. Like, well, all right, so why haven't I been paid? He said, well, I have to deduct damage. I can't pay you for these beans as though they were good beans because they were too high in moisture and they went musty in my bins. Well, they weren't. They were 13.5% moisture, which is exactly where they should be for sale. I had moisture testers and everything because they went through my dryer to get to his place. I didn't have him dry them. I just had him store them. He didn't turn the bin fan on. And I also have a feeling that he had other people's beans in that bin too, other than mine. So whatever. Water over the bridge or under the dam or over the dam and under the bridge, whatever it is you want to say. I get the check in the mail. Now we're talking almost 2 years. It was like a year and a half. I get the check in the mail, and I might as well just gave them the beans. It was for half of what they were sold for. They weren't 60,000. It was like not even 30. It was less than half. I was pissed, and I never did business with them again. But you know, as shitty as life is when you're going through a divorce, it can get shittier. You know, I mean, that's just the long and the short of it. You think life is bad, and then it can get shittier because people are shitty, and they will do things to you because you're vulnerable, or you just don't have the means to do what you want to do because you're going through absolute hell. So it can always get worse. You know, and I've always said that. I haven't always said that, but you know, people have these life situations where they're like, my life is terrible because, well, it can always get worse. You could be dead, you know. Or some people are like, you know, my life is so bad I ought to kill myself. Well, if your life is so bad that you ought to kill yourself, well, that's your fault. Do something about it. Don't be such a scumbag and kill yourself and make your family suffer and always wonder what in the hell they could have done to make your life better so that you wouldn't kill yourself. Don't be so selfish. It can always be worse, like I've been saying here. Anyway, yeah, I don't even know what the hell I was talking about. But there it is. This county is really pissing me off. I don't know if I can fit through there. I don't think I can. I think I'd be better off to not do that. I'm going to do this. Okay, so. I can get them both to suck in, and I can go over top of that. County's really pissing me off with this snow fence shit. I ought to just run the damn snow fence over. Yeah, I mean, it's everybody else's snow fence is down, but mine is not. You know, my fields aren't down. Why is that? Is there a reason for that? Yeah, because they're lazy. Or they don't like me. Which is fine, you know, you don't have to be liked by everybody, right? Alright, so here we go. Alrighty, we'll get close enough to it. I guess I'm going to have a skipper over there. But I did put, because I'm not going to be able to get all the way to the edge. Damn it. And you can see what I've done. And it's just dripping down. It's only nitrogen. There's no spray or anything in it. And I use those air induction nozzles, so they're big droplets. Everything's hitting the ground. It's just stupid. I just ought to run that fence over them, and they can cry about it. Actually, the cops will probably show up at the farm there and give me all sorts of hell for running over the snow fence. But I don't have to let them put it up again either. That's for sure. Because that's just a courtesy, you know. Oh yeah, there we go.